In the cramped alleyways of Tondo, Manila, where tin roofs leak during monsoon rains and electricity flickers unpredictably, a young filmmaker named Isabel Santos held a dream that seemed impossible. She was 24 years old, jobless, and armed with nothing but a second-hand camera, a cracked laptop, and a story burning in her heart. While Hollywood spent hundreds of millions on blockbusters with explosions and CGI, Isabel wanted to tell a story Hollywood would never touch: the real, raw, beautiful life of ordinary Filipinos surviving and thriving in the slums. Isabel grew up in Tondo. Her father was a tricycle driver who worked 16-hour days. Her mother sold bibingka on the street corner, waking at 4 in the morning to prepare the rice cakes by hand. Isabel had 7 siblings squeezed into a two-room house with walls so thin you could hear the neighbors' television through the night. But despite the poverty, despite the struggle, Isabel saw something Hollywood missed: dignity, love, laughter, and an unbreakable spirit. "I want to make a film," she told her parents one night over a simple dinner of rice and tea. Her father looked up, exhausted. "Anik, we can barely afford to eat." "How can we afford a film?" Isabel smiled. "I don't need money, Papa. I need their stories." "Our stories?" Her mother squeezed her hand. "Then tell it, Anik. Tell the world who we really are." Isabel started writing. For months, she filled notebooks with scenes, dialogues, and characters based on real neighbors: the vendor who sang while selling bamboozle, the old man who fixed broken radios for free, the teenage mother who studied at night after her baby slept, the ex-convict who became a pastor and fed street children. She called the film Liwanag, which means light. It was a story about finding hope in the darkest corners, about community rising when the world looks away. But making a film with no budget seemed impossible. Professional cameras cost more than a year of her father's income. Actors demanded payment, permits, locations, editing software. Everything required money she didn't have. Her film school classmates, the ones who had rich parents funding their projects, laughed when she shared her plan. "Isabel, you're a dreaming. Real films need real money. Just give up and get a call center job like everyone else." She refused. Isabel rallied her neighbors. "I can't pay you," she admitted. "But if you help me, I promise to show the world the truth about us, not the pity, not the stereotypes, but the strength." One by one, they agreed. The sari-sari store owner lent her small shop as a set. The jeepney driver let her film inside his vehicle. A group of kids agreed to act, excited just to be on camera. A local electrician rigged lighting using spare bulbs and extension cords pulled from his own house. A cousin, a college dropout who loved computers, agreed to do editing on a pirated software. Her best friend, Maya, a frustrated actress working as a waitress, became the lead. Even the barangay captain, moved by Isabel's determination, waved the filming permits. "Go ahead." "Anik," he said, "show them what Tondo really is." Filming took 6 months. They shot only on Sundays when people were free. Isabel operated the camera herself, balancing it on her shoulder for hours until her arm ached. There were no catering services. Neighbors brought packed lunches of rice and adobo to share. There were no trailers or dressing rooms. Actors changed costumes behind bed sheets hung on clotheslines. When it rained, they waited. When brownouts hit, they rescheduled. It was chaotic, exhausting, and beautiful. The story they captured was simple but powerful. It followed Lisa, a single mother working 3 jobs, struggling to send her daughter to school while navigating heartbreak, illness, and an eviction notice. But it also showed her friendships, her laughter over merienda with neighbors, her small victories, her faith. It showed Tondo not as a place of misery, but as a community where people carried each other. When filming wrapped, Isabel spent another 4 months editing on her cracked laptop, working late into the night by the glow of a single bulb. She taught herself color grading from YouTube tutorials. She layered in a haunting original score, composed by a neighbor who played guitar on the streets. She poured every ounce of her soul into each frame, each cut, each fade. Finally, Liwanag was finished. The final runtime, 93 minutes. Total budget, 27,000 pesos, about $500. Isabel burned the film onto a DVD, designed a cover on Canva, and submitted it to film festivals. Not the big ones, she couldn't afford the entry fees. She targeted smaller international indie festivals that offered free submissions for developing countries. Months passed, rejections poured in. Not suitable for our audience, lacks commercial appeal, technical quality below standards. Isabel cried herself to sleep more nights than she could count. Her father found her one evening staring at her laptop, tears streaming, panic. Maybe it's time to move on. But her mother sat beside her. One more festival. Isabel, try one more. She did. She submitted Liwanag to the Udain Far East Film Festival in Italy, a small but respected event showcasing Asian cinema. She didn't expect anything. But 6 weeks later, an email arrived that changed everything. Dear Miss Santos, congratulations, Liwanag has been selected for our main competition. Isabel screamed. Her neighbors rushed over, thinking something terrible had happened. When she explained, the entire alley erupted in celebration. But there was a problem. She had no money to fly to Italy. The festival didn't cover travel for no-budget filmmakers. Isabel was devastated, but her community refused to let her dream die. The barangay organized a fundraiser. Neighbors contributed whatever they could, 20 pesos here, 50 there. The Sorry store owner donated a week's profit. Even kids broke open their Alcanzia coin bags. In 2 weeks, they raised enough for a plane ticket. Isabel, overwhelmed, stood in the alley surrounded by everyone who made her film possible. This isn't just my film, she said, voice shaking. It's ours. I'm bringing all of you to Italy with me. She boarded the plane wearing a simple dress her mother sewed, carrying a borrowed suitcase and a heart full of hope. Udain was unlike anything Isabel had ever seen. Red carpets, elegant theaters, filmmakers in designer suits. She felt out of place in her homemade dress and worn shoes. Other filmmakers had entire teams, producers, publicists, translators. Isabel was alone. During the first screening, she sat in the back, terrified. What if the European audience didn't understand? What if they laughed at her film the way her classmates had laughed at her dream? The lights dimmed. Liwanag began. For 93 minutes, the Italian audience sat in complete silence. Isabel watched their faces, some crying, some smiling, all utterly absorbed. When the final scene faded and the credits rolled, there was a long pause. Then, the theater exploded in applause. People stood, clapping, some wiping tears. Isabel couldn't believe it. They stayed for the Q&A, asking questions with genuine admiration. How did you create such intimacy with no budget? Your lead actress, where did you find her? This is the most honest film I've seen in years. The festival jury agreed. Liwanag won the Golden Mulberry Award for Best Film, beating productions that cost 1,000 times more. Isabel stood on stage, shaking, holding the trophy, and said in her acceptance speech, "This film was made by a community that Hollywood will never see." But now the world sees them. This is for Tondo. This is for every Filipino told their story doesn't matter. The win went viral. International film blogs called it the Cinderella story of cinema. Variety wrote, a Filipino filmmaker with no resources just embarrassed Hollywood's best. The Guardian ran a feature, how $500 film from Manila's slums became the year's most important. Movie, social media exploded. Filipinos worldwide shared Isabel's story with pride. And film lovers globally demanded to see Liwanag. Then the offers came. The Cannes Film Festival invited Liwanag to screen in their uncertain regard section. The Toronto International Film Festival added it to their lineup. Sundance called, Berlin called. Within months, Isabel's tiny film from Tondo was screening in the world's most prestigious festivals and winning. It took home the Audience Award in Toronto. It won Best Director in Berlin. At Cannes, it received a 10-minute standing ovation. Hollywood couldn't ignore it anymore. Streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon entered a bidding war for distribution rights. Major studios wanted to remake it with A-list actors. But Isabel refused every remake offer. This story belongs to the people who lived it. I won't let Hollywood whitewash or glamorize what we built with our hands. Instead, she sold streaming rights under one condition. The film must be shown in its original Tagalog with subtitles. No dubbing, no edits. When Liwanag dropped on Netflix globally, it became an instant phenomenon. It trended in 70 countries. Non-Filipino viewers flooded social media. I don't speak Tagalog, but I felt every word. This is what real cinema looks like. Hollywood could never. It became the most watched non-English film in Netflix history at the time, surpassing even acclaimed Korean and Spanish releases. The Global Awards season arrived. Liwanag was nominated for the Golden Globe's Best Foreign Language Film. Isabel attended in the same homemade dress her mother sewed, now iconic. When her category was announced, Hollywood elites expected a French or Japanese film to win. The envelope opened, and the Golden Globe goes to Liwanag. Isabel Santos, Philippines. The room gasped. Isabel walked to the stage in tears in her speech. She said, Hollywood laughed at us. They said a film from the slums could never matter. But tonight, the world chose truth over budget. Heart over spectacle. This is for every Filipino told they're not enough. You are enough. Your stories are enough. But the biggest night was yet to come, the Academy Awards. Liwanag received 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress for Maya, Best Original Screenplay, and Best International Feature Film. It was unprecedented. No Filipino film had ever been nominated for Best Picture. The entire Philippines watched, hearts pounding. On Oscar night, Isabel walked the red carpet. This time, she wore a custom terno designed by a Filipino designer. A tribute to her heritage, photographers shouted her name, reporters asked, how does it feel to be the first Filipino director nominated for Best Picture? Isabel smiled. It feels like the world is finally listening. The ceremony was tense. Liwanag won Best Original Screenplay. Isabel ran on stage, breathless. It won Best Actress. Maya sobbed, thanking Isabel and Tondo. Then came Best Director. When Isabel's name was called, the Dolby Theatre erupted. She stood at the podium, holding the golden statue, and said, I made this film on a cracked laptop in a house with no ceiling. If I can stand here, any Filipino with a dream can achieve anything. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for money. Tell your story. Finally, Best Picture. The tension was unbearable. The presenter opened the envelope, smiled, and said, "The Oscar goes to Liwanag." The room exploded. Isabel and her team rushed the stage mire. The cousin who edited, neighbors who acted. Even Isabel's parents flew in as a surprise. They held the Oscar together, crying and laughing. A living testament that dreams come true. Back in Tondo, thousands gathered in the alley where the film was shot, watching on a projected screen. When they went live, the entire community erupted fireworks, dancing, tears of joy. The sorry store owner who lent her shop as a set hugged everyone. "We did it," she cried. Tondo is on the world stage. The global impact was seismic. Film schools worldwide now teach Liwanag as a case study in resourceful filmmaking. Tagalog language learning apps reported a 300% surge in downloads. International filmmakers visited Tondo, inspired to tell their own community stories. The Philippine government launched grants for indie filmmakers. And Isabel, now globally celebrated, stayed in Tondo, opening a free film school for kids who dream like she once did. Liwanag didn't just win awards. It changed the narrative. It proved Filipino stories deserve the world's biggest stages. It showed that heart, truth, and community matter more than money. And it reminded every dreamer watching, the world may laugh at you, but if you hold on, if you believe, your light, your Liwanag will shine brighter than anything Hollywood can buy. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, share it with every Filipino who needs to hear it, and subscribe for daily stories of Filipino excellence. Mabuhaying Pilipinas. Mabuhaying dreamers who refuse to quit.